Less Than 2000.
The podcast.
Welcome to Less Than 2000, the podcast, all things 80s and 90s.
Why do you do that voice?
Well, it's the radio
It's a
voice.
podcast. It's not radio. It's a podcast.
Live from Chad's basement.
Yeah, there you go. That sounds better.
Pre-recorded.
So, what are we going to talk today about?
I think Bill Murray is an incredibly ugly man. I mean, incredibly overrated. He had a good run in the 80s and 90s, but after that, anything from, say...
Well, I want to go back to that slip. You're calling him ugly.
Well, I mean, have you looked at him recently? Have you looked at him since...
Well, yeah, he hasn't aged gracefully in the slightest. I mean...
I love, Bill Murray. Obviously, Ghostbusters is... No doubt about it. Ghostbusters is all-time classic. And then you've got that great run of movies that he had, between Stripes up to mid-90s when he's coming out every year, it seemed like, with a great hit. What About Bob and Groundhog Day.
What About Bob was fantastic.
At all. Then he went away for a while, it seemed like.
But that's what you're supposed to do.
Agree.
You have a couple big hits, because otherwise people would be bored of Bill Murray. It was like we were saying the other day, Bill Murray is just Bill Murray. You know what you're going to get with Bill Murray when you see him on screen, and so ultimately you have to go away for a while. You can't watch Bill Murray every f***ing day.
But do you know what you're going to get? Because I guess that's my point. He was a comedic actor all the way through SNL in the late 70s to, mid-90s when he kind of took a little bit of hiatus, which I agree is a good idea. And then he came back and reinvented himself as a dramatic actor, which, he did always want to be a dramatic actor. That is well documented that he wanted to be a dramatic actor. He almost did not do Ghostbusters because he was trying to win an Academy Award as a serious dramatic actor. And so he came back in 2003 with Lost in Translation. And
beautiful film.
I think it's one of the most overrated films I have ever seen.
That's because you have no taste.
I have no taste.
You have no taste.
Ghostbusters is in my top 5 movies.
Yes, but Lost in Translation is a beautiful movie. And it's still funny. It has depth. It has character development. It has everything. Sofia Coppola did an amazing job.
I just think it's slow and boring and unrelatable and just sort of just want to be artsy.
Okay. Well, first off, unrelatable. You watched it when you were 22. So it's extremely hard to relate to an aging actor going to Japan because you were much more likely to relate to the Scarlett Johansson character than you would Bill Murray because you were 22.
Right.
You shouldn't relate. But the beauty about that movie is Sofia Coppola takes you down the path to where you realize they are old souls with similar identity and that it's not about age. It's about connection. It's about people connection. I think that was just totally lost on you.
Do you really feel that way, though? Or is that what other people have said and you feel like you need to think that?
No, I've watched that movie 7 times. I own it.
And then there's that whole thing about, what did he say?
I just got chills thinking about it. That was a great moment. It doesn't matter what he said, because as an audience, we already had established the connection. And it didn't matter what he said.
Well, why are we spending so much time on this? It was in 2003, and this show is called Less Than 2000.
Yeah, but we're talking about Bill Murray. We're celebrating Bill Murray, great actor, and I thought he was just as good in that movie as he was in Broken Flowers, and all the way back to the films Ghostbusters and everything in the 80s.
I really like Bill Murray. I know I'm trashing him.
You're being way hard on him.
I just wish,
and he's one of our favorite actors, and you're kind of dogging on him.
I'm trashing him.
You're trashing him. Yes, that's true. You are 100% trashing him. And I don't know why. I don't know why.
I'll tell you why.
Are you holding on to something?
I am. He is the reason we didn't have Ghostbusters 3. He is the sole reason we never got that third Ghostbusters movie with Harold Ramis while he was still alive. He was the one holding it up. He was the one saying no for years and years and years.
Well, see, that's because he's embarrassed by his appearance.
Oh, so he can do crap art house movies?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's okay, but
because you have to play.
Bankman.
You can't play. He's too old to play Bankman.
No. That's
why. And by the way, we did get Ghostbusters 3. It was in the form of a video game.
He was just the stick in the mud. He prevented that movie from ever happening. He was
quite possibly because the script probably was garbage.
It would have been written by Harold and Aykroyd.
Doesn't mean that it's going to be good.
Oh, so, okay.
It doesn't mean it doesn't guarantee that it was going to be good. He said he would do it. Rumor has it, I don't have firsthand knowledge of this, but rumor has it, he said he would do it if it was the right script and the right material. He never liked any of it. And maybe it's because, sure, he never knew what he was going to do until he showed up. But I'm just telling you.
I want to go back to what you were saying about he was too old to play Venkman. Ghostbusters were not action heroes. They're schlubby old fat guys. I mean, Ray with the gut, they smoked, they drank, they were not in shape. That was the comedy. Old and gray, that would be hilarious to see them. But even keeping in mind, I mean, Ghostbusters 2 was, I think, 89 or 90.
89 or 90, something like that.
And so it would have been, I would have, hey, I love What About Bob and Groundhog Day, so I want those two movies made. But let's say they made Ghostbusters 3 in 95. He wouldn't have been too old then.
Maybe the script sucked. I'm just going to keep going back to that.
And I'll just say here, I've been completely trashing Bill Murray. What About Bob is, I think, one of the most brilliant comedies ever written. It is, the psychology of it is amazing. And it's one of the very few movies I've ever seen where the roles completely reverse halfway through. Mm-hmm. Richard Dreyfuss is the straight man till halfway through the movie.
He turns insane.
And then turns completely insane. And actually, Bill Murray is level and the foil for the crazy Richard Dreyfuss. I think it's a genius.
Bill Murray literally goes from the weirdo, trying to hunt down his doctor to being the intelligent one.
I made the mistake of saying that he took a little bit of a hiatus. I just forgot that he did a bunch of really bad movies. After he, of course, was in Ed Wood. And then how could we forget Kingpin?
I hated Kingpin.
Yeah. Space Jam? He was in Space Jam.
That's right. He was.
Wild Things. Now, that was classic.
No, that was great. The outfit that he wore in that with
he
his
was the
fedora
lawyer.
And yeah.
He's the lawyer, so of course I love that. And he, wore the neck brace. The lawyer himself had personal injury lawsuits going on. And when he won and he was just so happy and his little office that he was in and the downtown. I kind of modeled my early career off of that.
Yeah, when I think of you practicing law, I think of that. I picture you
bars on the windows.
Yeah. in a bright white Hawaiian style cash.
Here's where it started changing. He was the comedic relief in Wild Things, but it was a more or less serious movie. Rushmore, 1998 is where it changed. That's when he started doing serious movies. The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
It was amazing.
Amazing movie. Yeah. No doubt about that. Owen Wilson was great. Everybody was great. But that was really more the beauty of the cinematography, the set design, costumes.
Well, yeah, you didn't go to Life Aquatic for Bill Murray. Wes Anderson is really the star of that movie. It's his set design, his mind, the way he looks at things, his color palettes. I've actually studied his color palettes. Every movie has a different set of color palettes, and he sticks to that theme.
So Broken Flowers is the one that you said?
Yeah, I liked Broken Flowers.
Okay, I am not familiar with that. That was 2005. Now we're getting far afield here. We're now no longer talking about the 2000s, but
you're old when you go, oh, his later work like Broken Flowers, and
2005,
and it's been 15 years.
Well, definitely. But I'm looking. I haven't seen most of these. Another Garfield movie, FCU, Get Smart.
It's a hell of a career.
It's a good half a career.
Well, if you're getting paid, it's still part of your career. You may not I like some of his choices. I don't want to see What About Bob, Bill Murray now. I want to see sad, angry, but still very funny.
They should make another What About Bob. Remember how Bill Murray became a psychiatrist? In the end, they had just text on screen during the credits.
And he did become a psychiatrist.
He did become a psychiatrist, and then Richard Dreyfuss sued him for the rights to the book Death Therapy. There you go. Richard Dreyfuss is an old senile man now. He's in the nursing home.
Yeah.
And Bob is his shrink.
The problem is we would have if we were somehow able to get that off the ground, literally it would be, will Bill Murray show up?
So after all this, we can decisively say, I think,
Ghostbusters was a good movie.
Ghostbusters and Lost in Translation is very overrated. And his whole career
That's
post
like your
1996
opinion,
was everything post 1996. Just forget about it. Don't even mess with it. Save your time.
I feel like that's how you live your life in general. If it was post 96.
Post 2000. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, post 2000.
And that is how I live my life.
Hence why our show is less than,
Remember in the 90s when we were growing up, there would always be those people like stuck in the 70s with their sideburns and long hair and like shag carpet and like velvet suits and stuff. That's me. That's me now. If it's not the 80s and 90s, I'm not interested.
You're just not there. You're not in it.
There's a couple things maybe in the 2000, 2001 area that I could get behind. More so music, I would say. But yeah, no, completely. And if this is the first time listening, it should be, since this is our first episode, you will come to learn very fast that I really don't know anything beyond 2000.
So. Which is why, we stick to what we know.
Yes. But it's a good dynamic because you have kept abreast of those things over the last 20 years.
I have.
And I am a historian. And so I can give you the context from before that. I can tell you what happened before. The world began at the end of World War II, just in case that's anybody's wondering. The modern history basically starts in 1950, let's say. Mm-hmm. So I can give you that perspective, what came before, because I did study film. I did study the classics. I did study, and really until the 1960s, the late 60s, films were nothing like they are now.
Nothing like they are now.
I mean, and that's when you watch
films aren't even like today. Films aren't even like the way they were in the 80s. I mean, it's
I wouldn't
90s.
know. But, before, that's why people talk about The Graduate and The Godfather, like, with such reverence, is because there was nothing like that. Bonnie and Clyde with Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway back in the day was such a groundbreaking thing because they had bad guys as the central characters. I mean, that
hadn't been done
unheard
before.
of. I mean, you couldn't do that under the old studio system.
No. Yeah, the whole and that's the nice thing about cinema is that we started to see a lot of antihero type characters reach cinema, and that's a breath of fresh air because that's real life.
Well, that's good that we've kind of brought the conversation full circle because that's another thing that what I don't like about modern stuff. Everything is the anti-hero now. Everything is this dark, edgy, Breaking Bad. Like, here's another hot take. Breaking Bad sucks. Okay.
Breaking Bad is
I know it's the most brilliant thing, best writing, best acting, blah, 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 blah. No, not really.
So that's you can't knock it before you watch it.
I watched season 1 and it was too dark. Even the colorful, bright, vibrant cartoons of the 80s, like Transformers, like dark and edgy and post-apocalyptic. Like, no. How is some good, like Batman was always really dark, but now it's like Joker. Like now it's like a mass murderer is the main character, hero, quote unquote, of the.
Well, he's not the hero.
Main character. He's the POV character.
Did you see the movie?
No, of course not.
Okay, so right. I mean, nowadays they tell you everything in the trailer anyway. I mean, you can basically watch a trailer and go, "Oh, I know what this movie is."
Right. I have to go to a movie to see a trailer though.
You don't have to go.
But anyway, I mean, just to wrap it up, Bill Murray, one of my all-time favorite actors.
Then why are you throwing you're throwing so much shade on him?
Not a good-looking man. Has not had a good career in the last 20-plus years, but it still doesn't take away from how brilliant Ghostbusters 1984 was.
I mean, I'll give you that.